welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. Today, I want to discuss a really exciting upcoming middleweight matchup on this Saturday's UFC 297. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly and to also help the channel grow. All right, guys, getting right into it, we got Chris Action Man Curtis taking on Marc-Andre Barriault, middleweight division on the main card this Saturday, UFC 297 in a tricky fight, an exciting fight. You got Marc-Andre riding a 2-fight win streak over Eric Anders and Julian Marquez. And you have Chris Curtis coming off a little bit of inconsistency. He's coming off that no contest with Nasruddin Imavov where they had the clash of heads, and that it opened up a nasty gash on Chris's eyebrow. And before that, he had the unanimous decision loss to Kelvin Gastelum, where a similar situation happened where they had a clash of heads. He really kind of lost focus in his game plan and kind of let the fight get away from him. But in this matchup here against Marc-Andre, right, you have Marc-Andre who is exactly what his nickname is. He's the Powerball, right? He is a boulder rolling downhill, coming straight at you. And he doesn't utilize a lot of takedowns, not a lot of grappling at all. Think about 8 takedowns he's attempted in the UFC in the last 4 years, only landing one of them. He just marches forward, constant pressure, throwing strikes. He's huge for the weight class, huge, big, strong guy. And he's been able to utilize that in his last 2 fights against Eric Anders and Julian Marquez, where Julian was finding a lot of success in the first round against Marc. He was just dancing around and being loose, being free, throwing the jab. But once in the second round started and Julian started to slow down a little bit, Marc was like, all right, time to turn it up. And he did. Put on constant pressure, constant throwing strikes, 1, 2, 3, every time they would break. He was in his face the entire time and was able to find the TKO at the end of the second round against Marquez. And then he followed that up against a really good performance against Eric Anders, where he was able to drop Eric early in the first round, was able to really dominate the first round, kind of. It was back and forth, but it was definitely obvious that Marc won the first round. In the second round, Eric had a little bit of sense of urgency, a little bit of life kind of went back into him after losing that first round. And you saw them 1-1 each going into the third, and you saw Marc dig deep, found his cardio. He's definitely known for his cardio. He's just an absolute workhorse, especially for his size. It's very impressive with how big he is, the pressure he's able to apply, and how long he's able to maintain that pressure. It's very impressive. And going against a guy like Chris Curtis, who himself likes to stand and trade, not known for his wrestling. I think he has 1 submission to his record. He has like 17 or 18 knockouts to his record. So, I mean, Chris that is just a recipe for a brawl. And I think that's what's going to happen here. And Chris just blew up onto the scene in the UFC a few years ago when he took out Phil Hawes in a fight where early in the first round, he just looked gun shy. He looked hesitant. Phil was just picking him apart. And then the second he was able to just land and throw, he put Phil away. And he followed it up against Brendan Allen with a very impressive, that win has aged very well for him, to see where Brendan has come since that fight. But Chris was able to be like, no, dude, like, he has a 92% takedown defense, which I think is very good for his style of fighting. Because, I mean, if you want to go out there and make these wrestlers strike with you, you're going to have to be able to stop their takedowns. And he showed that in his fight against Adolfo Vieira, where, I mean, he is just a world-class jiu-jitsu specialist. And he was able to just completely stifle his game and just go out there and grind out a really impressive decision victory over Vieira. And, I mean, it's just the times where Chris loses is where he loses focus. The fight against Jack Hermanson, Jack was making him chase him pretty much the entire fight, not really willing to engage in those firefights and those standing and training moments. He was not about that. He was out there point fighting, and you could tell it got to Chris. Chris wanted to engage, stand and engage. And he was over there just reaching for shots that just completely out of range for, chasing Jack the entire fight, and he ended up losing the fight because of that. He wasn't trying to stop the movement of Jack. He was just trying to hurt Jack, and you just saw the game plan just kind of leave him, and he kind of lost himself in that fight. He followed up with a really good knockout over Joaquin Buckley in just a fight that is just one of my favorite performances, one of my favorite fights. I'm a big fan of Joaquin Buckley as well. So that was one of those fights where I was like, fuck, man, I didn't want either guy to lose. But he went out there and just put him out. But since then, a little bit of inconsistencies. He had the fight with Kelvin Gastelum, where he took that headbutt. He was looking good early, but when he took that headbutt, you could just see that it just completely took him out of the fight. And I mean, I'm sure getting headbutted by a dude as big as Kelvin Gastelum Dude's got a big head. That would that would take me out of the fight as well. So I mean, for him to even go out there and continue was pretty impressive. But you could see like he just kind of lost sight of the game plan, lost sight of the fight, and he just wasn't as sharp. And then he had to fight with Nasser Imavov, where it was competitive. It was looking good. Both guys were having their moments. And then they had the accidental clash of heads, and that nasty gash on Curtis's eyebrow. Very unfortunate to see, but he was supposed to fight Anthony Hernandez, which I personally would have liked more than the Marc-Andre fight. But I don't really know why that fight was canceled. But with this fight against Marc-Andre, I love it, man. You have two guys who want to go forward, push the pace, and I think the path to victory for Chris is, I mean, for both men, is to be the bully. Whoever is going forward and applying the pressure in this fight is probably going to win this fight. And Chris, great counter striker. I think that if Mark is not safe in this fight, he can get put out. Chris is just an absolute powerhouse. Even as a former welterweight, the dude has brought that power up to middleweight. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen in this fight. I'm a huge Chris Curtis fan. I think he's going to come out with the victory. Maybe that's a little biased, but I definitely know that Mark can go out there and apply pressure, keep the pressure, and damage Chris as well. But I think it's just really whoever is just going to just be the sharper fighter. And whoever really wants it more, I think this is going to be a battle of wills out there in this matchup. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think is going to happen between Chris Action Man Curtis and Marc-Andre, the Powerball Barriault. Love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. And guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly and to help the channel grow. Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.